Hi, let's do another quick answer. This time, a question coming from Christians, much more so than non-Christian. That is, how do I get a spiritual conversation started? Most of the time we spend our talks on real superficial issues, a sports team or the weather or whatever it is. And yet we want to get down into a deep spiritual conversation. And so we're going to talk just for a couple of minutes here. I have an extended talk that you can look at on my website here. But let's just talk briefly about how we can get a spiritual conversation started. I think the key thing that we ought to do, no matter who we're talking to, if we want to get into spiritual issues, is we ask questions rather than dumping information on people. And these questions can be really simple questions. We can just ask people about their life and what they're up to. We can ask people about their faith, if they have a faith, or if they don't have a faith. But we ask questions. We ask for clarification. We ask for more information. And pretty soon they ask questions of us. It's just human nature. And so we're going to show that we care about these people, and we're going to show that we want to make a connection with them. Asking questions, that's key. We've got to be able to do that and do it in a kind fashion. We're not asking to trap them. We just simply want information. And something may come out that we can then talk further about that takes us into some sort of a spiritual issue. So that's one thing. Ask some questions. Something else we might do is just simply be observant. I love Sherlock Holmes, and he's very observant. He notices the cuffs, he notices the shoes, he notices something going on with their hair. We can do that too. We can see somebody that's wearing a particular kind of jewelry, some kind of item, pendant, that might have some kind of spiritual meaning. We've got a lot of tattoos these days that people wear. Sometimes it's a t-shirt. We can just simply be observant. The books that people are carrying around, the TV shows they're watching, whatever it is, we can just observe and maybe get a conversation going that way. Something we also try to do is just to drop a hint. Say something about reading the Bible the other day. And that's all. We don't have to say, and you have to believe the Bible because it's true. We can just throw a hint out there about Bible reading or talking about church or whatever it is and just see what the reaction is. Sometimes it's interest and somebody leaves forward. Sometimes it's averted gaze and they're off on something else. That's fine. But it's just throwing some ideas out there and just see what happens to it. Kind of like fishing. You're throwing a little bait out there and see if there's a reaction to the fish. Something else we can do is called reacting to culture. And culture is just surrounding us 24/7, isn't it? By culture, I mean television. It might be a news show. It might be a movie that's out that has some kind of implications. Maybe it's a television show that mentions God or something in that field. Maybe it's a new song that's come out and is really popular. So we can go online. We can read magazines like World Magazine. That's a Christian magazine that looks at culture. It evaluates movies from a Christian perspective. It looks at science from a Christian perspective. I highly recommend World Magazine. So we want to be in tune. We want to understand what the culture is excited about. And we can get into those conversations. After all, the Da Vinci Code came out years ago. It became a huge bestseller. And if we were up on our Christian history, we would know we'd be able to engage with people. With Da Vinci Code as the starting point, the point that we could spring off of. Something else we can just call points of contact. In other words, we find out what the person is interested in, and then we talk about that field. And so maybe they're interested in ecology, and so we talk about ecology and taking care of the Earth's resources and things like that. And maybe, just maybe, we get it back to Genesis, where it says we are supposed to be stewards of the earth. And then we talk about that, and all of a sudden we're into biblical things. So points of interest, points of contact that we can find about what somebody else is interested in and spends time on. Everything from sports. There are certainly spiritual issues that come up in the area of sports and science and medicine and all these kinds of things. But if I had to sum it up, I think our number one problem is we're not getting in the game, and we've got to get in the game. We have to at least get these conversations started, and we get better at it. So if it seems awkward at first, we just keep working on it. We think about what got a good reaction and keep building up our ideas and interact with people. Let's get those conversations started.